What's good, people? We're going to jump directly into this question of the week. I got Walter Davis, and he says, who are the 5 best wide receivers of all time? Obviously, this question is coming to me because, obviously, Calvin Johnson just retired. Go ahead and don't forget to leave me a like on this video. I'm going to just break it down for you. Number 5 for me would be Calvin Johnson. I've just never seen a guy with that size and speed combination like him. Even though I don't think he was as accomplished as maybe he should have been, put some of that on Stafford, whatever. Number 4 would be Andre Johnson. Number 3 would be Terrell Owens. Number 2 is going to surprise you. It'd be Jerry Rice. He would not be my number 1. I mean, Jerry Rice played almost his entire career with Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Not very many people can say that, you know. Number 1, Randy Moss. Not one dude I've ever seen required defenses to game plan for them the way Moss did. He would be number 1 for me. Deontay Rose says, who do you think would have won a 7-game series between the 91 UNLV team, that's with Anderson Hunt, Greg Anthony, Larry Johnson, Stacey Allman, Moses Scurry? He had a whip, right? Against the Fab Five, which obviously had Chris Webber, Juwan Howard, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson. I would have to say, he says UNLV 4-3. I'd have to say UNLV 2. I'm not sure if it's 4-3, but I just think the outside shooting from UNLV would be a big deal. But Michigan would have a humongous size advantage. I mean, if you got to think about it, Jalen Rose is 6'8", playing point guard. So it's going to be real, but it's going to be interesting. Deontay Rose says, thank you for being a great platform. Blessings to you always. Same to you. It's raining. Say y'all hear a little trickle. Last question. Mr. Perfect or CM Punk, who will win? I mean, if you're talking about a real fight, well, actually, real or fake, CM Punk, to me, I mean, Mr. Perfect never really did anything in like the WWE, at least, except for win the Intercontinental Championship. Now, back then, Intercontinental Championship meant more, and we all know about his moveset and his athleticism and his ability, his execution in the ring. But if we're talking about just accomplishment, nope. I mean, what Punk did blew what Perfect did out. I mean, it's no disrespect to Perfect. He's a Hall of Fame type legend, but I mean, I don't think there's much of a contest there. Weston Flores says, who would you have booked to win the Royal Rumble? Well, me personally, I would have picked Triple H too. But this kind of blows me, man. I don't like it when people feel like wrestling is interactive. Wrestling's not interactive, man. They write the story, you watch it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do. And people have gotten to the point with wrestling where they feel like they should be able to control the storylines. They should be able to act up if they don't like what happened and force them to change. And even if they force them to change, then they don't like it then either because they say it was predictable. It's crazy. That's why back in the day, you never heard people talking about wrestling's dying or nothing like that. You started hearing that talk when the internet kicked in and really did ruin wrestling. That's really what happened. And people started knowing what was going to happen or guessing what was going to happen or getting the leaks and that sort of thing. And it really has just ruined things. And that's why we want to control who wins or book this guy or book that guy. It's just crazy. Weston Flores has a one guy to go. He has my man, Mr. Frazier, from, now the White Sox, David Wright, Adrian Beltre, and Josh Donaldson. I think this one's pretty easy at this point. David Wright's a shell of himself. Now, we're talking about a career accomplishment, maybe different, but David Wright is a shell of himself. He's nowhere near the guy that he used to be, so he's easily the one that's got to go here. I mean, Beltre's old, but he's still producing at a high rate. Josh Donaldson has just won the MVP, and Frazier set a career high in home runs, so that one's pretty easy. Baloo says, do you think that Porzingis deserves Rookie of the Year due to his determination and adversity he has faced as a rookie? No, not based. I mean, a lot of guys have to deal with, adversity. I don't know anything overwhelming that he's had to deal with that other rookies have not out and other international rookies have not. I think it's a two-guy race in terms of the Rookie of the Year between him and Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I don't think necessarily what a guy has to go through should have any bearing on whether or not they win an award or not. They probably have awards set up for that. but not, he don't get Rookie of the Year because you think he had a harder time off of something that didn't have anything to do with basketball. So, no. Let's see. Victor Daniel Torres says, what has happened to the Phoenix Suns in your opinion? Weren't they a playoff team? Well, they were a playoff team, but I think they had a coach that couldn't relate to younger players. They have a lot of injuries. They haven't drafted especially well, and they have a lot of guys that are very similar. I think that is a recipe for failure. Brandon Knight, Eric Bledsoe both need the ball in their hands to be effective. You used the lottery pick on Alex Lynn. That hasn't worked out. The whole situation with Morris is not good at all. So they haven't really been able to turn that corner. They were a surprising team, and ultimately they don't have the talent, I think, overall to get it done. Eric DeFurlo says, with The Rock already announcing basically he's going to be at WrestleMania, what role do you think he will play in the show? Keep up the good work and much love. Same to you, sir. I believe that The Rock is going to be like a really hands-on type of host of the show. I don't think that he'll have a match because it just doesn't. It feels like, obviously if The Rock is in a match, it's going to be a really big time deal, right? Where everybody who he could have a match with that would be a big time guy is already pretty much accounted for WrestleMania. So I think he's going to be some sort of a host. I think whatever he does could set up what he's going to do at the next WrestleMania. That's kind of how they've done things. They set it up a year in advance almost, and you kind of have a year-long build towards this match. I don't know who that'll be against. I always thought The Rock versus Brock was something that just had to probably happen at some point. But we don't know. We'll see. Jared Young says, which WWE superstar do you think had the most potential to be a star and a champion, but the WWE wasted their talent? I think the WWE has wasted Dolph Ziggler's talent. Now, he was a champion, but I don't think his star ever reached the shine that it probably could have. And I think that is, he had really awesome cash in of the Money in the Bank on Raw against Alberto Del Rio. He had the championship, but then he had a head injury, and I thought he lost all of his momentum at that point. And they never really allowed him to get it back. So, Simon Torve Sunland says, who has the most heart and determination in the NBA? We're talking a lot about heart and determination in this episode of Ask FP. He says in the NBA, for him, it is Sean Livingston. Gruesome injury, now a valuable player. Absolutely. Sean Livingston's, that was a really nasty injury. But there's other guys who you could think about. You guys are going to laugh at this, but Derrick Rose has had 2 serious knee injuries, and he's still out there playing at a high level now, especially. You also got guys like Amari Stoudemire with kneecap replacement surgery. If you think about it, Amari Stoudemire is rich as I don't know what. He signed a humongous contract. He don't have to play. He's playing because he loves it. Also, beyond all of that, then they had cancer. We talking about knee injuries, but then they had cancer. That's real, okay? Tristan Hilton says, do you think that the 2013 Heat team could beat the Golden State Warriors in an NBA Finals series? I do. And here's the thing. A lot of people think that I'm not really giving the Warriors their respect. And what they've done this regular season is amazing. Their run last year was really good as well. But in the finals last year, they beat a team that didn't have 2 of its 3 best players. Now, that's not their fault, right? But so you can't take the championship away. But I can question where you stand in the overall pantheon of great teams. So when they beat a great team in the finals, which I totally think can happen, then I'll give them the love like that. But until then, they're the NBA champions, and they deserve that. Ruben Ayala says, do you think that having legendary teams and not just certain legendary players would be a great addition to MLB The Show? I do. I think that would be really awesome. Imagine having the 27 Yankees, the 84 Tigers, 89 Oakland A's, the 1990 Cincinnati Reds, the 88 Dodgers, just all of these legendary teams, with some of those Yankee teams with Jeter and Posada and, just Paul O'Neill type. They would be pretty awesome, right? So I think that would be a great idea. I would love to see that happen. But I'm always a sucker for the legend classic team type thing. That's just my thing. Jared Young says, who got the biggest snub from the NBA All-Star team or voting? Pau Gasol definitely got a big snub. I don't know if his is the biggest. I think you have to look at Kobe Bryant. And I mean, not Kobe. I'm going there, though. Listen. Damian Lillard is probably the guy. And we had some Damian Lillard questions. I couldn't quite fit them all in, so I kind of said I would, smash it all into this. Kobe is a forward, right? And he got in through the front court position. But, say for instance, Draymond Green is voted to start as he should have been, right? Then how about maybe Damian Lillard would have a better chance of getting one of those reserve spots from the coaches? But you have to put Draymond in. So then now, because Kobe's in there, somebody who really deserves to be there is not in there. And I understand what people are doing. It's a lifetime achievement of tribute type of thing. But come on. Jared Young says, be realistic here. Which 4 guys should be in the NBA Slam Dunk Contest in Toronto? Now, obviously, a lot of people have been pining for LeBron to be in a Slam Dunk Contest. But at this point, he's 31 years old. I'm not even sure he can do the stuff that we would have wanted to see him do back when that was really a big deal. So right now, I think it should probably be DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, still Gerald Green, because I still think he got silly bounce like that. And I don't know. The next guy, I'm really not sure, because I don't know if I don't know. Maybe Jared Cunningham. I think he really has silly hops that we don't get a chance to see too much, because he don't play that much. But yeah, I would like to see maybe him. Terrence Ross too, obviously. He had a really great performance in the dunk contest. Matt Price says, which organization will suffer a losing season first? The San Antonio Spurs, the New England Patriots, or the Alabama Crimson Tide? This really isn't an even comparison, though, because if you think about it, if Alabama was to go 8-4, people would act like they lost every game. And it's not even really close to being under 500. If they would have finished 5-6, I don't know what would all happen. I can't even imagine Alabama finishing 5-6 anywhere in the next 10, 12 years, to be totally honest. Now, the Spurs, the core is older, but you got Kawhi Leonard, and you have a front office that knows how to build a team. So I don't think they're going to be under 500. I would have to say it's the Patriots, because if you think about it, Tom Brady gets hurt, they're probably under 500. Really, literally. So I think it would have to be the Patriots. Matt Price says, will the coverage of the racial aspect of the quarterbacks completely overshadow a potentially great Super Bowl? I don't know about overshadow it, but it is an unfortunate side note to it, based off of the way people have been behaving towards Cam Newton. Be honest with you, you'd be hard-pressed to find any African-American that's not rooting for the Panthers. And if people are being honest, it's pretty much totally because Cam's black. That's really what it is. But then you'll also find a lot of people, maybe some non-black people, who are rooting for the Broncos. And though they may not tell you, it's because they don't like Cam, and maybe it's not only just because of his dancing, it's because he's black. That's real. So it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, I think it's still going to be a great game for the game itself. Matt Price says, what city do you think the Raiders will be playing for in the coming years? I think I'm going to say Las Vegas. And the reason why I'm not going to say the LA is because I think the NFL would prefer to have the Chargers in LA over the Raiders, because I think the Raider fan base will travel better to Vegas. And the Chargers organization probably needs that LA market more than the Raiders do at this point. All right, Olajuwon Williams says, if LeBron had never gone to Miami in 2010, do you think that Dwayne Wade would have become a Chicago Bull? I don't think so. I don't think he was ever really serious about the Chicago Bulls, and I don't think that LeBron not coming to Miami would have made him serious about it. I don't think he really wants to play in Chicago. I just don't. I think he has more than made his home in Miami. And think about it, man. How many people who have played more than 10 years in Miami and have garnered the status that D. Wade has garnered in that city would want to come back to Chicago with this weather. I mean, I love Chicago, but I mean, if I got used to living in Miami, I don't think I'd want to move back to Chicago either. And I love Chicago up and down, left and right. So, yeah, no. Ty says, one got to go. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Gilbert Arenas, or Dominique Wilkins. This is actually pretty easy to me. Vince Carter is a future Hall of Famer. Dominique Wilkins is already a Hall of Famer. I believe Tracy McGrady is probably if he's not a lock to be a future Hall of Famer, he's pretty close. One of the best players in the NBA in the early 2000s. But Gilbert Arenas' career is more of a what could have been type of conversation than anything. And that's unfortunate because of problems off the court and some injuries. Talent was great, but he easily is the one that's got to go in this particular foursome that Ty has given me there. So that one's pretty, I think that one's pretty open and shut type of deal. Trevor says, who has been the most influential athlete of the 21st century? Now, this is a heavy-duty question. I mean, the century is only 15 years old at this point. 15 years and a couple months. Well, 16 if you count the actual year 2000. But I don't think that there has been anybody who has impacted the sports world during this century over LeBron James. I mean, good, bad, however you want to look at it, he is easily the most polarizing athlete this century. I'm not sure it's even close, to be honest. So I mean, from the power of a single athlete, when you look at it from that standpoint, nobody has seemingly like blurred the lines between player, executive, owner type of thing as LeBron has. I think he's the one. Easton T says Super Bowl predictions, point blank, simple and plain. I'm gonna say the Panthers, but I do not think it's going to be a blowout. I just don't think it's possible to blow out a team with a great defense. You might beat them, but you generally are not going to blow them out because they're going to keep their team in the game. But I am a little bit worried because I do think that Peyton Manning may have one more solid game left in him, and that Broncos defense is really nasty. But the Panthers offensive line is much better than the Patriots offensive line, and they have a running game which the Patriots could not establish, which I think is a really big deal in this whole thing. The last question of the episode is from Easton T as well. He says, will Andrew Wiggins ever be an MVP player? Now, you mean an MVP type player or actually win the award? I don't think he'll ever win the award. If you think about it, they're building this team as much around him as they are around Karl Anthony Towns. And dynamic duos, players in dynamic duos like that very rarely win MVPs because one guy takes, some of the votes away from his teammate because he's so great as well. So even if the Timberwolves were able to get to that point of being a contender, I don't know if he'll ever win. And I also don't think he has the personality for it. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.